p.m. yesterday, we received a short report of shots fired outside of Movies 14 in Wilkes-Barre City. We had also received reports of a gunshot victim on the sidewalk in that area. First responders arrived to find several civilian Good Samaritans rendering aid. They had also obtained information about the perpetrator and the perpetrator's vehicle. Thankfully, Wilkes-Barre City EMS responded and they took over first aid and transported the victim to a nearby hospital by ambulance. Unfortunately, he had succumbed to his injuries and was pronounced dead. At the scene, a nearby county detective responded to the report over 911 radio and was able to obtain some civilian witnesses who identified the perpetrator and a description of the vehicle as a dark Nissan SUV with a Bella-piercing decal. I would like to specifically thank the civilian witnesses. As you know, in many of the cases are not solved without the assistance of civilian witnesses, and very frequently those civilians don't want to be involved. In this case, we had a number of good people come forward and it helped us make an arrest in this case very quickly. Also, special thanks to Kingston Police Department. Thanks to their assistance in receiving a description of the vehicle, they were able to locate the vehicle and notify Wilkes-Barre City Police Department. Wilkes-Barre City Detective Lieutenant Matt Stash and Detective James Conmey, along with Detective Sergeants Chaz Ballo and James Noon, led the investigation. A suspect fitting the description of the perpetrator was taken into custody last evening. He is being held at Luzerne County Correctional Facility on a violation of parole currently. The investigation revealed that this incident was the result of a long-standing feud between the victim and the now defendant. The victim has been identified as Lonnie Davis, 35 years old, of Main Street in Wilkes-Barre. An autopsy was performed on him at 9:30 this morning by Dr. Charles Siebert. Coroner Jill Matthews, who is to my left, has announced that the cause of death is multiple gunshot wounds and the manner of death is homicide. Wilkes-Barre City Police and Luzerne County detectives have made an arrest, in this case filing paperwork against Branden Del Castillo, 28 years old, of Northampton Street in Wilkes-Barre. He's arrested on one count of open homicide and one count of carrying firearms without a license, along with tampering with evidence. He's expected to be arraigned this afternoon by the Honorable Thomas Malloy Sr. He will very likely not set bail as a result of the open homicide charge. We will await the scheduling of a preliminary hearing. The investigation is ongoing. We would ask anyone that has any information about this shooting from yesterday afternoon in Wilkes-Barre City to contact Detective James Conmey, 570-208-6775, 208-6775. I would now like to turn it over to Mayor Brown for some comments on the investigation.
Thank you, Sam. I would just like to thank the civilians that were involved in putting this investigation together, but also highlight the great work Wilkes-Barre Police Department, the Patrol Division, also the detectives that were involved. This was solved quickly, done by the book, and they did a wonderful job, so I congratulate them once again. Chief, thank you for the work that your police and patrol division did. Thank you.
I'll take any questions to the extent that I can answer questions. Obviously, with the ongoing investigation, there isn't too much that we can say.
This incident happened in broad daylight right downtown. Could you just talk about, again, I know you mentioned the civilians, but how integral those witnesses and people willing to cooperate in such a busy part of downtown are?
Sure. So an obvious concern for the chief and mayor and myself was the fact that it happened during broad daylight. And the fact that a number of people came forward was a tremendous help, and we're very thankful. It's a lot different, naturally, when we see something happen at 3 o'clock in the morning in some back alley or some drug dealer's apartment. We have a hard time getting people to come forward. Nonetheless, we recognize that your involvement in a case could involve taking time away from work, away from your family, but the fact that civilians care enough to help clean up our streets is very important to us. And like I say with regularity, it is very infrequent that the police actually witness a crime occur. So we rely heavily on people who are just standing by, who are minding their own business, to come forward with information. And if they see something, they say something and help the police get the murderers off the street.